Well, hello there. Thank you so much for joining us. This is News Channel Nebraska. My name's Eric McKay. Let's take a look at our top headlines today. Beginning in international trade news, U.S. and Chinese officials say they've reached an agreement to significantly reduce tariffs. The announcement follows marathon negotiations over the weekend. Amy Kiley has more.
A tremendous amount is at stake for the U.S. and the global economy.
The U.S. and China say they'll temporarily reduce the tariffs they added to each other's imports starting Wednesday. In a joint statement, they say they'll each cut them by 115 percentage points for 90 days. The countries say they're committing to ongoing trade talks during that time. The announcement comes after officials spent the weekend negotiating in Switzerland. The U.S. economy is reeling from President Donald Trump's 145% tariff hike on many Chinese imports and China's retaliation. Goldman Sachs now predicts a key inflation gauge effectively will double by year's end. The National Retail Federation forecasts at least a 20% drop in U.S. imports year over year in the second half of 2025.
We have right now no ships leaving China for the West Coast. That's the first time we've seen that since the COVID pandemic. We are hearing retailers talk about empty store shelves within weeks.
Experts say negotiating the finer details of trade deals can take months or years. They say implementation also requires time.
The global economy is not a light switch. You can't just turn off and off the U.S.-China economic relationship and then expect there's not going to be some short-circuiting.
I'm Amy Kiley reporting.
House Republicans, meanwhile, have unveiled the cost-saving centerpiece of President Donald Trump's so-called Big Beautiful Bill. Tallying hundreds of pages, it involves at least $880 billion in cuts, largely to Medicaid, the nation's health care program for more than 70 million Americans. The savings are needed to help cover the cost of $4.5 trillion in tax breaks, but it's setting off the biggest political fight over health care since Republicans tried to repeal and replace the Affordable Care Act.
Well, I never thought we could get to 1.5 trillion. I don't want to be mean, and I think anytime it looks like we're actually hurting people, that's going to piss off the American population, and if you piss them off, they're probably not going to vote for you.
My colleagues who do not want to address that are burying their head in the sand and already trying to worry about elections next year when the best way to win elections is to actually deliver. We have to address Medicaid. My colleagues who are saying that they won't touch it are the same colleagues, by the way, who want their SALT caps increased.
What do you say to Chip Roy? Boo-hoo on that, and the data does not validate that assertion.
We're not going to fold. We're not going to fold.
Republicans insist they're rooting out waste, fraud, and abuse to generate health care savings. Democrats, though, warning that millions of Americans will lose coverage.
This is very simply an effort to destroy healthcare as we know it, to rip it away from everyday Americans, make it more costly for everybody else. It will close hospitals. I think something like 432 hospitals across the country are on the edge right now. About a third of their funding comes or more comes from Medicaid.
A preliminary estimate from the nonpartisan Congressional Budget Office said the proposals would reduce the number of people with health care by 8.6 million over the decade. Among the key changes, a new community engagement requirement of at least 80 hours per month of work, education, or service for able-bodied adults without dependents to be eligible. The bill also proposes cutting a 5% boost that was put in place during the COVID-19 pandemic. Federal funding to the states for immigrants who've not shown proof of citizenship would also be prohibited. Closer to home, Grand Island living it, Kearney pursuing it, and the state legislature fine-tuning the rules of the Good Life District across the state. Originally passed in 2023, the Good Life Transformational Project Act was intended to boost the economy and encourage large retail developments. It keeps the tax rate the same, only 2.75% going to the state. The other half of the tax stays in the community where the Good Life District is built. A new bill would ensure the state's able to generate additional revenue over the long term from the districts. That 2.75% would be gone by July of this year. Instead, the state would allocate 50% of the taxes collected back to the city where the Good Life District is housed. Because there are some districts already approved under the previous legislation, the bill may be amended to address any changes or concerns for towns like Grand Island or Bellevue. moves on to the next round by a vote of 37-0. Authorities say alcohol may be involved after a car tore through a Panhandle neighborhood over the weekend. It happened before sunrise on Sunday on 16th Avenue between Ash and Birch Streets on the north side of Sydney. A minor faces potential charges for their use of alcohol and the amount of damage caused. Sydney police say because it's juvenile, they're not releasing more information other than to say that criminal charges are being pursued. A neighbor, though, told News Channel Nebraska the car plowed through a backyard fence and garden fencing before coming to a stop in the garden feet from hitting their home. The damage goes back several yards before, extensive damage done to a garage door and a wall to another neighbor's property, plus another fence. A teen boy, the only person in the car. They were hospitalized for evaluation. A fire without a burn permit got away from a property owner in North Bend over the weekend. More than 40,000 gallons of water needed to put out the flames and embers of this fire in North Bend as the volunteer fire department tried to make contact with the owner. They say they saw the barn on the opposite side of the property up in flames on Platte River Road. In all, a 900-square-foot, two-story hay barn, a lean-to with 3 vehicles, and a hog slat were all lost. 5 different departments were called in to assist in getting the blaze under control. North Bend not part of the burn ban, although the particular person did not have a permit, which is still required for any burning. The city of Norfolk not going far to find its permanent police chief. City officials announcing Monday that Brian Tye has been selected as the next head of their police division. Tye's been the acting chief in the interim following the departure of former Chief Don Miller and 2 officers following an investigation into department culture. The city says since Tye's taken over as acting chief, 15 new officers have been hired. He officially steps into the permanent role this Friday. Well, the class of 2025 graduated at Beatrice High School on Mother's Day. The 140 seniors or so receiving their diplomas, marking a milestone as they move on to college, the workforce, or the military. This year's class had 7 graduates who served as co-valedictorians, earning a 4.0 grade point average throughout high school. 42 graduates earned at least a 3.5 grade point average throughout their high school. The senior class earning over $700,000 worth of scholarships or grants. About a half the class, 72 students, had dual credit college courses while in high school. The class chose an Abraham Lincoln statement as their motto: the best way to predict the future is to create it. At the college level, Creighton University planning a new outdoor extension of campus. The school on Friday announced plans to construct a new quad. The green space will be over 250,000 square feet and replace the soon-to-be demolished college baseball and softball facilities. University officials say the new quad will include an amphitheater, pavilion, fountain, and art installation. The $25 million project expected to be ready by 2026.
When the next severe weather event happens, don't get caught in the dark. Power your kitchen, HVAC, and communication systems with a Jackery solar-capable generator. Just click on our YouTube affiliate shopping tab and you're on your way.
And an annual but unconventional fundraiser happened this past weekend in central Nebraska. Ryan Valenta takes us through the overnight event that had people running outside in the dark.
You may have heard of a mile walk to support or raise awareness for a good cause before. That's happening in Hastings this weekend, but 24 times in 24 hours. It's to honor a late Hastings College graduate whose family is putting on this walk to honor her legacy.
Some walk, some run, some are walking with a 50-pound ruck on their shoulders, but they're all supporting the same cause to remember Michaela Molifua.
She embodied everything about Hastings College and kind of like being a Bronco.
Michaela, better known as Mick, passed away in 2020 after her second battle with cancer. Her older brother Casey organized the annual event Miles for Mick to honor his sister, who was heavily involved with several activities, sports, and clubs for Hastings College. Beginning at 6 a.m. Friday morning and throughout the night until 6 a.m. Saturday, hundreds of people are running or walking a 1-mile circuit around Hartwell Park to help promote cancer awareness and to raise money for the Michaela Deneen Molifua Memorial Scholarship.
You know, most of these students never met my sister. There's probably 95% of the people who are participating today never met my sister, but maybe they have somebody who's lost a grandparent or a sibling or a parent or somebody who, to cancer. And so even just on the very first mile, I had somebody say, my mother or my grandmother passed away from breast cancer, 10 years ago. And so that's who I'm dedicating this first mile to.
Students, faculty, and community members are coming and going throughout the day, departing on the 1 mile path at the top of every hour. That includes the overnight hours, with several students insisting on running in the pitch black.
And then the students are like, no, like the midnight hours are kind of the crazy hours where everybody's feet are a little bit sore. People are coming in, at 3 a.m., 4 a.m., just trying to, just kind of bring some energy and kind of bring some of that spirit. So
some have been running this event for several years. Turner Tennant is doing his third Miles for Mick campaign and says he's planning on doing all 24 runs while wearing the aforementioned 50-pound ruck.
Just about making it tougher. Part of the suffering, part of the mindset, that's part of this challenge. Ain't no hill for a hill climber is what we've been saying all day, so that's kind of going to be the motto for this.
Anyone is invited to walk a mile in support of Mick, with hourly runs beginning at the Jackson Dinsdale Arts Center on the Hastings College campus. In Hastings, Ryan Valenta, News Channel Nebraska.
And you can stay up to date with the very latest by following us online. Head to newschannelnebraska.com and click on the News tab there. You can also follow us on X, like us on Facebook and Instagram as well. Thanks for joining us. Have a great day. This is News Channel Nebraska.